Hello, YouTubers. I'm going to talk today about jazz records because this is an answer to a tagged in the vinyl community. The jazz vinyl tag, an answer video to Tales from the Man Cave. I thought, well, why not? These are some interesting questions that he has brought up, and very simple ones. Just show this, show that. I was a great. I'm a jazz fan, although I wouldn't really call myself a jazz collector as such, because the years when I listened to jazz most of the time, it was in the late 1990s, early 2000s, and I'm still a jazz fan, although it's not what I look for these days. Not that much, not that much anyway. But still, I'm going to answer this jazz vinyl tag list here. It's from Tales from the Man Cave, and we got 21 questions. So I'm going to show them to you now. 21 questions. Let's move on. Enough waffling. Let's just move on. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. These are the questions. Jazz vinyl tag, 2021 questions. Album that got you into jazz. And well, I think it will be this one. Billie Holiday, Lady Sings the Blues. This is an album that was purchased by my mother on a trip to Stockholm, to one of the biggest record stores in Stockholm back then. I can't remember its name now, sorry. But she heard this when she was a student, university student in Uppsala in the early 1970s. A friend of her played this all the time, and she was really looking to get hold of this album, and it couldn't really be found up in Luleå back then. But then she found it in Stockholm in 1985, and then now I took over it, and I would say it would be probably the first jazz album that I listened to quite a lot. Who isn't affected by Billie Holiday and her voice? And we have many of her most famous tracks. Here we got Strange Fruit, God Bless the Child, Lady Sings the Blues, of course, Traveling Light. I must have that, man. Love Me or Leave Me. It's a great jazz album and a very great start for my jazz interest. Okay, number one. Number two then. First jazz album that you bought. And that was maybe 2 years later, in 1987, and I remember I was on a day trip to the neighboring town, Boden, the town where I was born actually, and I found this. Norwegian Big Band, Vindsång, from 1987. Maybe it was 1989. Oh, it must have been a couple of years later then. Anyway, in 1989, the Luleå-based big band, jazz big band, then led by Öyvind Fahlström, now Örjan Fahlström, sorry, not Öyvind Fahlström. Öyvind Fahlström was an artist. Örjan Fahlström was a musician, or is still a musician and arranger. Today, the band is led by Tim Hagens. Anyway, I didn't really buy it because I was a jazz fan, but I bought it because I thought it was fun with a local production, because that's what it is, on a local self-made label. And we both have some modern jazz. We got Speaking of Evil by Wayne Shorter. We got the Staffan Odenhall composition Mahler Meets Miles, and Also composition by the leader, Örjan Fahlström, Crystal Eagle, but also some old standards on the B side, like Don't Get Around Much Anymore, Sweet Georgia Brown, Things Ain't What They Used to Be, Love for Sale, and of course the Quincy Jones masterpiece, Midnight Sun Will Never Set. We'll get back to that one later. So, number 2. Oh, I'm talking too much. Let's move on. Number 3, record you own on Blue Note. Well, I have some Blue Note albums, although not any of these. I've got some of the 50s Blue Note stuff, but they are reissues and new pressings. Still, I like them a lot. But I thought I'd show you an original Blue Note, although I think it's from 1969, late 60s. It's Down Home Style by Brother Jack McDuff. Really great organ jazz. I'm very fond of this. I think it's from 1960. Well, anyway, I'm very fond of Jack McDuff and his jazz organ. Blue Note. Number 4, record you own on Prestige. I don't have that much on Prestige, but I got this one, The Brothers. Suit Seams, Alcone, Kai Winding, Art Blakey on drums. This is a reissue. I think it's probably from the 70s, because unlike the original that had thick vinyl, this feels a bit waka waka if you shake it. So still, it's a lovely jazz album on the Prestige label. Yeah. Number 5, Impulse, record you own on Impulse. Well, I don't have that much on Impulse either, but I've got this jazz classic, Love Supreme by John Coltrane, which is an amazing jazz album that I get back to quite often. This is a later pressing. This is, I think, a pressing from the 2000. No, it's a pressing from the mid-90s. Well, so it's not an original, but still. Never mind. It's John Coltrane, it's great jazz, and it's Impulse. Number 6. Record you own on Riverside. Well, I've got some records on Riverside, but not that much jazz, actually. But I got one that I found a couple of years ago. I think I've shown this in a video before. It's so funny. It's Philly Joe Jones Sextet, Nat Adderley and Johnny Griffin, Blues for Dracula. I think I found this on one of my trips up to my old hometown, Luleå, and, well, this is also a reissue. I think it's a pressing from, well, I don't know, probably from the 80s, but it's a fun album. I mean, great jazz, but it's more the novelty aspect of it that made me buy it. Okay, number 7, record you own on Contemporary. Well, this is an old original, actually. It's Art Pepper meets the rhythm section. Red Garland, Paul Chambers, and Philly Joe Jones. Yeah, Philly Joe Jones. Blues for Dracula. And this is from 1957 on Contemporary Records. And I bought this actually in one of my trips to Luleå as well, maybe 10 years ago or something like that. I remember the seller had lots of interesting jazz records, but my budget was a bit limited, so this is the one I got. And great saxophonist, alto sax. Yeah. Okay, number 8. I'm reading from my iPad if you want to watching. Number 8, record you own on subsidiary or small jazz label. Well, let's talk a bit about Swedish jazz. Let's talk about jazz with a musician that has a YouTube connection. Talking about Anders Alén unit, the great guitar player, on the small label Signal and Sound Records. I think they made a handful or maybe 2 handful albums. This is from 2014. Well, Anders Alén guitar, Emil Skog bass, Andreas Saxophone drums, Niklas Persson saxophone, and Niklas Barne trumpet. Yeah. Modern jazz, but very pleasant. And also Anders has, I don't know how active he is on YouTube nowadays, but he used to be part of the vinyl community and showed some really interesting videos of his record collection back then. But still, so Anders Alén for the win. All right. Number 9, record you own, not many know about, but should. Well, unless I've showed it in this channel before, maybe people won't know about it. And I'm not sure if I have showed this record before or not, but I just picked something that I think is very good. And it is Arne, the Swedish saxophone legend, Arne Domnerus, his quartet, and the record Sabra, or Sabra, or however you pronounce it. I bought this first. This is an LP on RCA Victor from 1975. I first bought this on a CD, maybe 25 years ago or something like that. And later I got hold of the original LP as well. I'm very fond of the lyrical tone in the saxophone of Arne Domnerus, but and I've heard many of his albums, and this is probably my favorite. Yeah. All right, number 10. Favorite jazz record bought in 2020. Well, I think it will be this one. Mimi Terris, They Say It's Spring. I've heard a lot about the Swedish jazz singer, but when I started listening to her, I realized, wow, I really want all her albums. And I just bought her latest album and really enjoyed it, so I looked at the back catalog. There were 2 more, so I ordered them. And this is the first one. I think it's from 2010, and she sings jazz standards like Rocking Chair, Lover, Come Back to Me, Stardust. After that, she has made 2 more albums with Swedish jazz songs with Swedish lyrics, and her her own compositions. And it's very, very nice. Very, very nice. I think she's super talented. Sings like an angel. Mimi Terris. Okay. Number 11. Favorite record in an artist's discography. This is, I almost said it immediately. Well, I would pick this one. Dinah Washington. Dinah 62. I looked for many years for this record because I had an EP from it with her recording of Destination Moon that I fell in love with when I first heard it, and I wanted the whole album. And yeah, so this is the one, without doubt. Number 12. Favorite record bought in a brick and mortar shop. To be quite honest, I was not really aware about the expression brick and mortar, so not really sure what to make of that. But it looks like any store. But well, so I didn't really know what to show. So I'll show this. This is a lovely, I may have showed this many years before. This is a lovely box set. 50 never before released original performances by Glenn Miller and his orchestra on RCA, and this is from the early 60s. I'm not sure actually. When is it from? Or well, anyway, it's really luxurious. It's like a book, like an album. Oops, with many nice, lovely images and things to read, and then 3 vinyl records. I mean, Glenn Miller, yeah, always nice. Not the most exciting stuff, probably because I've heard so much of it during the years. But this is such a lovely presentation of some of his less well-known work. So, did I buy it in a brick or mortar shop? Who cares? Number 13, a record you bought online. Well, I've bought many records online, but I can show you some. One that is a bit special, and this, I've shown this before. I've even made a whole video about it. It's Miles Davis and the Modern Jazz Giants. Rather tatty, worn record with a cutout corner like this. What's so typical of this? Well, this is on Prestige. This is on the Prestige label. I could have shown you this. I just realized I could have shown you this, but I've shown you the brothers instead. But never mind. This is an old original on Prestige. And what's so special with this then? Well, it's a 16 RPM record, so I can't play it on my regular turntables. I have to dig out the old Lenko that I used a lot many years ago. Now it's needing a bit of TLC to work properly, but it still works. But if I want to listen to a 16 RPM record, I have to use that one. And this is actually the only 16 RPM record that I own. It's not in the best condition, but it sounds amazingly good for being in 16 RPM. Right. Number 14. Record a friend found for you or gifted you. Well, I've been gifted quite a few records during the years. Not as many as I would wish, probably. But not that many jazz records, because I really had to think. And then I thought back to my 10th birthday. That was 36 years ago. Fancy that, when I got this. And I've showed you this before too, and I've even played excerpts from it in my channel. It's Holmsund Storband, Holmsund Big Band, plays evergreens med jazzton, evergreens with a jazz tone. And this is an issue. The leader of this big band is the father of the woman who my uncle has married, and his brother also was a member of that band. So I've got this 36 years ago, and I got it on my 10th birthday. Holmsund Storband. Okay, let's see. Number 15, Jazz Box Set. Well, I could have shown you the Glenn Miller box set there, but I'm going to show you this one. This is one of the first things that I actually shown in my YouTube channel that wasn't shellac, because the early days I just shown and played 78 RPMs. But when I found this, I had to show it. It's a thesaurus of classic jazz, and I just love this front with these old labels. And well, we got the Dorsey brothers, Frankie Trumbauer, Miff Mole and his Molars, Red Nichols and the Charleston Chasers, lots of great stuff. Cliff Edwards, the Arkansas Travelers, on the Columbia label. It's from the 1960s, and it's a bit worn and so on, but a very lovely boxed set of old jazz standards or jazz recordings from the 20s. For some reason, I've listened to jazz from most eras, but the jazz that stays closest to my heart is the jazz that was played in the 1920s. Okay, um, jazz 10-inch or 7-inch. I love old jazz 10-inch records from the 50s, and I got a like pile of these with old jazz records. And I thought, well, which to pick? Well, this is a bit, because I've had this channel for so many years. I've made so many videos. So, but I guess nobody really has seen them all. So it doesn't matter if I show you records that I've shown before. But I could show you this historically relevant record that I've made a video about many years ago. Stan Getz, Volume 1. Why is this special? This rather worn, tatty old record. Why is it special? Well, it's the first issue of a vinyl microgroove record on a Swedish label. It's on the label Metronome. They were first with vinyl in Sweden, and for the first part of the 50s, I would guess they were the only label that actually released vinyl records. And so this is the very first one. The recordings are, of course, not Swedish. They are taken from an American material, but it is actually the first Swedish LP on the Swedish record label. Yeah. Okay. Most recent jazz score. Well, I've been listening a lot I've been buying a lot of old Nina Simone records from her jazz years. I mean, Nina Simone could sing in all styles, but this is a reissue of her album Let It All Out on the Philips label. I think it's from, the original is from 1965, and I bought it not that long ago, and I'm a great fan of Nina Simone, so that will be that one. Okay, number 18. Jazz record you hope to find in 2021. Well, any vinyl album with Hiromi Uehara. Well, who's that? It's a jazz pianist. This is my only vinyl issue with Hiromi Uehara that she made with Edmar Castaneda some years ago. This Japanese lady here. And she's an amazing pianist, both to listen to and to actually watch playing, because she's so into her music. She lives inside her music, and it's a joy to just watch her perform, and also to listen to it, of course. So I would like to have more material of her on vinyl. Please, please, more Hiromi on vinyl. Yes. Okay, number 19. Jazz record you own that you like to upgrade on in 2021. Well, I've already shown it. Dyna 62. Because you can see it is very tatty, and the record is quite worn, as you can see. It plays quite well for looking this bad, but I like to have a better copy of that. Not a reissue, but a better copy. Okay, almost done. Number 20, free jazz record. I can't remember being given or finding any free jazz record, but in a big box of vinyl singles that I bought some years ago, also made video here about, there were some jazz singles, and I guess since I paid so little for it, it was almost free. And I picked one of those with the Swedish jazz clarinet legend Putte Wickman and his quartet. It's Clarinet à la Viking. Clarinet à la Viking on the artist label. It's from 1960, recorded in 1960, together with pianist Jan Johansson, bass player Sture Nordin, and drummer Egil Johansson. I mean, Swedish and, well, in Egil's case, Norwegian jazz legends. So I can't remember what I may have paid for this, because it was like in a big box of various singles and EPs, and I didn't pay a lot for it. So I would say it would be free. Right. Number 21. Desert Island Jazz Album. Well, I talked about it earlier. I talked about The Midnight Sun We Never Set by Quincy Jones and Harry Arnold's band, and the saxophone solo by Arne Domnerus. And this is the album from 1959. And this is a stereo issue with a stereo on the like big label here. So Quincy's Home Again. The photo is taken outside the Swedish concert house, Stockholm concert house, with this. It's on the stairs outside. I've sat there myself, so I know what it looks like. And Harry Arnold and Quincy Jones, and it's a superb jazz album. Not just the most famous track, The Midnight Sun Never Sets. It is an amazing jazz album that I would bring to a desert island to listen to over and over again. Well, this will be a very long video. I'm so sorry about that. And if there's anybody still watching, well done. And also, why have I been away for, well, I think it's 4 months since I made a video? Well, because sometimes it's good to take a break. And if you feel that you don't want to make any videos, then one shouldn't make any videos. But now I got inspired again when I saw this jazz vinyl tag from Tales from the Man Cave. So I thought, well, why not? Why not make a video about jazz records? Well, that's all I have to say about that. And thank you for listening, and play lots of records. See you soon.